They removed my music. I hated when they removed my
I can hear
music.
the music.
The music was beautiful. The music was wonderful. It was so good. Hey everyone, how you doing? Um, we're streaming this to YouTube. We always stream our office hours to YouTube since a couple of weeks, months now, 2 months. But we decided to do this one open with everyone instead of just sponsors. And that's mostly because we have so many cool announcements. It's going to be so much fun. Um, Fair warning. We are currently streaming multi-platform. There's also the sponsor stage in the CyberTrain Discord. If you are chatting there, please remember you can ask your questions there if you don't want them to be all the way public or you don't want your name attached to them. Feel free to ask away on both platforms, by the way. We'll try to pull up your questions today and just have as much fun as possible. Um, Normally speaking, I have this entire intro for CIPP office hours. I have this thing about, hey, welcome sponsors, blah blah blah. But that doesn't make sense if you're not the sponsor right now. So I'm just going to say there is a chat right here, I think, in Discord. And if not in Discord, then it's also on YouTube right there, right there. I think. Maybe I pointed the wrong way. If I did, then I look like an idiot, and that's okay. Um, we have a lot of fun stuff today, don't we, John?
Oh yeah, we are getting ready for deploying V8, which has so many new features that I think it may take the rest of the day for Kelvin to write the release notes.
So let's talk about release notes because that's actually a good hobby of mine. I love writing. I love writing release notes. I love making silly jokes in there, and I hope you guys like reading my very stupid jokes. Um, if not, I still don't really care because I love writing them. Like I said, it's our release notes will be on GitHub as always, and I'll post them on LinkedIn as well, so people that don't directly follow the GitHub will have a place to find them easily. Hey John. What do you think is the biggest change we made?
I think the setup wizard is probably the biggest change because
No,
there's
so I like the setup wizard. I love the new setup wizard. It's fantastic. I made it, so of course it's great. But
maybe pieces of the setup wizard.
pieces of the setup wizard. Exactly, that's what I was getting at. Because the setup wizard is a setup wizard. Um, Not sure how many people are listening in right now. If you guys are chatting in Discord. I'm joining the sponsor stage myself right now so that I can track questions, comments, and react to all the weird stuff that you guys are saying. So, Zach the Goose, one of our contributors, actually, big shout out to Zach. Before we get started, in this version, we have one of our contributors called Zach the Goose, who has really focused on helping us so much in this release. He helped us do chores that we just didn't have time for, like changing the grid system all over the place. He helped create some new features. He did a lot of good stuff. So Zach the Goose, thank you so much for your help in all of the chores and minor work that we just didn't get the time for. It's really great to see a new contributor fall into our community and fit in so well. And like Brian says, Zach has been massive. The changes that he's made have been really cool. And that I absolutely am not discounting anyone else's contributions because we have two new contributors for this release, actually, or maybe even three. And we have a lot of people that are still putting in a lot of effort. So I'm not discounting anyone's things, just Zach gets a special shout out because he's been amazing, really. Hey, John, um, how about we start showing some stuff off?
Want to show some stuff off?
Yeah, let me just pull up your screen. Hey, that's cool. That's it, right?
Yeah,
Hey, John.
this is new though. Where'd
Hey,
all the
John.
steps go?
Before you get started, could you go to the dashboard?
Sure.
Oh, could you select a tenant, like the goat farm, for example?
Yeah, let's go to the goat farm.
So this is loading, right? And I always have to say that whenever we do this kind of demonstrations, this is on our development stuff. So the moment that you see something lagging or weird responses, please be aware, or something looks different than your version. Be aware of that. This is development. Hey, John, could you do a full refresh? Holy crap, that was fast.
I'm gonna do an empty cache and hard reload now.
Okay.
This one might take a second longer.
Oh, wow. That was fast.
That was very fast.
That was very fast. Speed. It's we made some performance changes. We made some performance changes that massively improved refresh speeds. We cached more. Gary just made a very fun comment in chat that I'm not going to repeat. But yeah, it's been very. It's now very fast. Let's go back to the wizard, shall we? Because that's the one of the biggest changes.
The name changed.
Yeah, the name changed, and that's because a lot of CIPP has always been designed to be very forward in what we do. Like, we explained to you what the SAM was, the secure application model. We don't need to anymore, you know? There's no reason to mess around with all of these terminology. So we removed some of the terminology. And Gary just posted a very fun picture of terminology in Discord, exactly explaining that. It's like you don't need all of this jargon involved
It's too
anymore.
much.
So it's just called the setup wizard from now on.
Kelvin, where did all the steps go? I have onboarding and then confirmation. There's nothing in the middle.
I removed them. I decided we don't need steps.
No?
No, actually, I lied. If you click now, the steps are more conditional and designed exactly for what you're going to do. In the old wizard, you sometimes ended up at not being able to go to the last page because it wasn't required, but that also confused a lot of people. So now, when you choose a step, it actually changes the order of the wizard for you. Hey, John, could you hit first setup for me?
Sure.
Let's go through the entire setup for fun.
Okay.
So now, as you can see, this is automatically starting the setup, and the setup is a lot more step-based than before. In the previous environments, what you got was a more complex structure where step 2 might actually be 10 steps, 15 steps. Like there was a lot involved in step 2, and it showed you different windows and different buttons and all of this kind of stuff. So what we changed in that is we made sure that instead of just showing you all of those steps in one go, we're having a progress type wizard this time. This allows you to easily select where you're going to head next. Could we go back for a second, John?
Sure.
So as you can see, we also made other steps. We made add a tenant as an optional step. We made create a new application registration to connect to my tenants, where only the application step and the tenant step becomes available. And of course, the refresh and management credential steps that you know from before. Yeah. So John, could you hit add a tenant for me for a second? Because I think that's probably the most important one we have to show.
Ooh.
CyberDray now has, or CIPP now has a new feature, a very cool new feature. We call this direct tenant add in the backend. And what it simply means is that you no longer need to have your partner center available or GDAP available for every single tenant that you add. You're now able to click on per tenant authentication, and you're able to authenticate to just the tenant. Now, John just clicked on this button and the pop-up appeared for him. It doesn't appear for us. He can go through that pop-up and actually add a tenant directly, and it will process that. The cool thing about this is that we actually detect a lot more in the background. So you're able to close a wizard. It'll actually detect like, hey, you closed the wizard and you're done with it, or you didn't complete it, or that kind of stuff. So now we're able to add a tenant to this list that is completely outside of our CIPP environment, or GDAP environment. That also allows you to do stuff like, remember that you're not allowed to add GDAP to an area you don't transact in. It means you can now add those tenants. GCC tenants, not GCC high. That is a very important distinction. But GCC tenants could be added to your instance now using a direct add. As you can hear John type, he's currently logging in. Clickety clickety.
No, I'm not, because the auth redirect isn't there.
Oh, all right. So
we can fix that with the other option,
exactly.
all right?
Exactly. The wizard also does a lot more now than just authenticating and going through the steps. It actually fixes existing SAM apps if you have them. And I know we shouldn't talk about the SAM apps, but when you run through this, what we're doing is creating an application registration in your tenant. And that application registration is the one that allows us to reach into other tenants and do specific things. That application registration requires a lot of permissions. Every time you run the setup wizard, you actually get those permissions applied again, which is pretty cool. Also, when you hit authenticate and you change your URL, previously you got an error saying, hey, please use the default URL. That no longer happens either. We could go through the steps, through all of the steps, but I suggest you just do this yourself if you want to perform the setup again. That there's a lot of changes in general regarding the wizard. I would suggest for everyone that wants to add a tenant to run through the entire wizard once just to see how it works. Hey, John, there's a couple more things, right, that we can show off today before
Sure.
we start getting to questions. Or do we want to take a small break and do some other questions first? No? No one?
Nobody
No
wants to
questions?
ask questions. We
Nobody
can show
wants to ask
stuff off then.
questions? We could show stuff off. There's a couple of questions inside of Discord, but we'll get to them in a second, guys. Let's do the show off first. Hey, John, could you show advanced?
Yeah,
And could you show the super admin menu?
sure.
And could you go to SIP roles, for example?
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
So this is actually pretty awesome, right? We always used to manage the roles through the function app or through the static web app itself. That is no longer required. From now on, we have built-in rules and custom rules, and that means you also no longer have to invite a user. John, could you show me how we no longer need to invite users?
Oh, check this out right here. We've got a little group called CIPP admins, and this is mapped to the super admin role.
So any user inside of CIPP admins becomes a super admin inside of CIPP, right?
Anybody you put in that entry group will now become a super admin.
And they don't need an invite, right?
Nope, no invites.
And does that mean that I can invite 600 people to my static web app?
Yeah, because you don't have to invite them to the static web app at all.
That is so awesome. Andrew Johnson just said, huge. I like that. And from now on, you'll be able to also easier change these roles for specific users. One cool thing is that you don't have the Microsoft waiting time for replication anymore either. So a lot of this is just a lot faster. Hey, John, can you show me one of those custom roles?
Sure.
Because Andrew just had a question. Can you restrict access to those direct tenants?
Let's see. That Smile Network was on here. Maybe they're not.
No, but any tenant can be blocked through a custom role. You can just click on ETOP Goat Farm, for example. From then on, no one inside of the no partner tenant role will be able to see the ETOP Goat Farm anymore.
This is for everybody.
And Johan Anches just asked, so this is basically skim for SIP? Yeah, it is. It is. It uses your existing Azure AD groups or Azure AD groups you set up specifically for SIP. Craig Summers asked, I assume this is for hosted and self-hosted? This is for everyone. Super admin is a no-no vote. Super admin should only be used to configure things. That is true. But now it has become a more normal role. Previously, we messed around with like having super admin and admin at the same time. You can now, as your only invited user, have a super admin user and then just use custom roles to configure the rest.
So you can see here, it shows you what permissions you have, including what API endpoints you have access to. Super admin has access to every endpoint, as one would expect. But you can't change the permissions, and you also cannot exclude tenants from the base roles. So you still do need to use custom roles in order to do tenant restrictions.
Okay. So let's get on to the questions because there are a bunch of them. Our producer added them to our thing. Let's pop open Mr. ITS's question. What's the preferred method to update existing policies deployed via standard with scheduling turned off? I'm seeing that there's some discussion in Discord about that. The recommendation that the community is giving you is create another template, because create another standard, especially because you gave some more details inside of Discord, and it becomes a bit more complex at the with those details involved. Like the community is recommending, I would do the same thing. Create a secondary template specifically for that for that tenant, or create a group that template falls into, or that tenant falls into, so you can use the groups to stack this. Hey John, could you go to standards for a second?
Sure.
Because we made some changes here too. By the way, this update is so freaking filled with changes. It's unbelievable. It's
What do you want to say?
There's so many stuff that could you hit edit template for a second? So previously, it wasn't possible if you had a included tenant group to also exclude. Hey, could we include a group here, John? Now you can also add an exclusion on top of an included group. So you could add the group testing and exclude the group excluded tenants. That allows you to easier specify which tenants should be included, which tenants should not. This was made by one of our contributors. I wanted to say Bobby, but I actually think it's Esco. Esco, thanks for contributing that and making sure that that all functions. There's more questions coming in, so let's try to get through the questions and yeah, make sure that we try to answer everyone's things. TRM, Trats BNB, Trats Bump, that's your name. Is the offboarding function still the same, where we would have to update the function and then update the web app? I'm unsure about this question.
With offloading, you still have to update every function app.
I believe
it's offloading.
Offloading, yeah. Yes. If you are talking about offloading, yes, update the function apps first, then update the static web app. That is the best, but update all of them. Remember to set up auto update so that it handles all of this for you.
Specifically with V8, update the function apps first. Otherwise, you will have some permission problems.
Yeah, we already answered Mr. Trask's question, or that question. Cookie Monster's asking, should the serial variable work in the unique device template field of an autopilot profile standard? Yes, it absolutely should. If it's not, try typing it in caps, because it might be case sensitivity tripping you up, and Microsoft says it should be in all caps. Baron is asking, if I change the name of my CIPP SAM app, do I break anything in CIPP? And will the name update in my customer tenant? I like to add my MSP name to all my multi-tenant apps. You can rename it. It does not break anything. I am unsure if it updates. We do some detection logic when you run the wizard to always update the same specific CIPP SAM app that is based on the name. So be careful with it and test it. That's the only recommendation I would have for that.
Well, I just renamed a bunch of ours, so we could test that too.
Yeah. Oh, there are some questions running in. There's more comments on YouTube. Let's try to pull up some YouTube comments too, because otherwise it feels like this is just another six sponsors, and we want everyone to ask questions. Is there ever a difference for hosted versus self-hosted? Very good question, Gary. Yes, there is. For example, hosted is running completely on Linux. Self-hosted is running on Windows, which costs about 3 times as much on average. self-hosted also is a little bit slower because Linux is 30% faster. There's other differences too. Hosted gets access to graph preview APIs, Canary APIs specifically by Microsoft. We give them application IDs that are used, and they say, okay, we'll add these to a allow list, allowing you to access APIs that aren't available to anyone else at that point in time, allowing you to test specific APIs. Good user of that is per user MFA, which we received months before anyone else. It's one of the benefits of being both a Microsoft MVP and Microsoft really loving the entire development cycle we have with CIPP. We are very closely in contact with the graph teams, so much so that this is a nice anecdote. John was once complaining about an API not having something available in Discord, and within 6 hours, Microsoft made that available in Discord or in the graph API. He complained, a graph developer saw it, it was available in graph within 6 hours. Absolutely amazing.
They must have just pushed a button and made it available.
They just clicked and made it available. Oh, Jack has a very fun question for you, John. Let's actually do this for a second.
Or custom roles layer. So we have X role gives access to exchange, then Y role gives access to identity, and you can give both. I haven't tried layering it like that. It's more like you can restrict like certain tenants to certain endpoints and things like that. But I think the first one that matches and permits the API and the tenant will be the one that takes precedence.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely, try messing around with that. It's like we said, we had custom roles in beta for about a year, and
we still need to pull that beta label off.
Yeah, we still need to pull the beta label off. That's happening today. We allowed you to use this because we really wanted to see how you guys would create it. If you want more layering or that kind of stuff, that's absolutely possible with just a small feature request. Remember that every sponsor is able to make a feature request at any point in time. We run through them. I think for this release, we closed about 40 feature requests total. There's still 19 open, I think, something like that. And we will run through those again. And every time we will build on that. We will create the best software for you because we are having fun doing it. Like I've said it before, we don't need an army of account managers and that kind of stuff. Our hires will always be developers and technical people. And you guys are, we want our community to lead our growth. So we want to create the best software that's ever available for you. Johan Anches asks, will this allow us to have an admin, all tenants, and an admin except the MSP tenant? Yeah, that's already currently possible in the role system.
Maybe not admin roles. Admin roles don't get tenant restrictions.
Yeah, so you'll have to create a new role called non-admin, called everyone except the partner tenant or something like that. And then
yeah, you can give it most of the permissions though that you need. Just app settings and things won't be available.
Okay. Can we add a based role? I think this is Gen X slang. Gary, sure. Will this make the button invisible to CIPP, or does it show that the user has no access? Currently, Dion, it will show that the user does not have access. We are working on making the menu options, the side menu, also disappear based on the user's role. That is going to be in a later release. And by later, I mean, remember our release cycle is 2 weeks, so it could be in 2 weeks already. Giel asks, what about updating an existing policy? We updated a policy that was part of a template. How do we update the policy without having to delete it and then recreate the policy from the source tenant? You can either use templates, you can either use a template tenant or a template library that extracts and updates the templates based on what is in that specific tenant all the time. I think that should answer your question. Oh my God, these questions. I skipped a question. The ticker explains it. That is the question that always will happen during each of these.
We already
Cookie
answered this
Monster.
one.
I already answered that one. Sorry, it's a long list. Will you skip SIP 9 and go straight to SIP 10? Actually, you know what? We just might. We just might. We'll have a special name for SIP 10. Maybe we'll even rename it. You know what? That's a fun question. If you guys could rename SIP to anything you could, and this is both for Discord users and YouTube users, put it in chat. What would you rename SIP to? Oh my God, this is there's bad
You've
suggestions coming in.
just opened up the door to ridiculous answers.
Is there a way to create an override for a specific setting in a standard, or we always need to create a separate standard for that? There's no way to do that inside of a standard, but there is the order of precedence. So you have your all tenants, which is the top level. Under that is your specific tenant. For example, let's call it tenant A. If you have tenant A different from the top level one, the tenant A one will apply. Now imagine that you have a group, because then it becomes a slightly more complex structure. You have your all tenants standard that applies, then your group standard that applies, then your tenant standard that applies. So remember, when messing around with that, the precedence is built specifically on that. On the tenant level, you can still have an exclusion as well. Imagine you have a tenant, you have a policy based for one specific tenant, but suddenly they coming back with, oh, but we need a temporary change to that. You can create a new standard that applies a different setting, and then that is applied as it's the last edit standard. So that's how the entire dropdown works. Good question, Johan. Walker is asking, are the SIP permissions documented somewhere? Yes, they are in our docs. If you look for permissions, you will find them. Renames, CIPP, of course. Partner center, but not complete shit, trademark. Partner center that works. Or I actually like this one, M365, Azure Dominator. New Copilot for partners. Microsoft, not Microsoft team.
Oh no.
Any way to block apps in Teams from SIP, like a standard or something? I think we have a standard for that. Yes. A good tip, Mandy, is to go to standards.sip.app, which is a website that describes all of our standards. It is extracted directly from our production front end, so you see exactly which standards we have available. And Brian Simpson is the man for the docs. At the moment that you have a question about docs or anything else, go to SIP Docs, I think the channel is called. I'm not sure anymore. Documentation, maybe SIP documentation inside of our Discord, and you can tag Brian asking questions like, "Hey, why isn't this updated?" or "Why is this not working?" Some other suggestions that are coming into Discord for the new name would be Godhouse, Sipidipidipidipidipidura. I'm not sure I pronounced that well. Really tremendous unfucker for Microsoft, RTFM. Kelvin's Baby. Not for sale. That's another name. There's a lot of names dropping in. The Google Microsoft Power Tools, Zach, stop that. I think I pronounced this well, right? And our producer is pulling up these banners. I absolutely love this. Thank you, producer. And it's hashtag SIP documentation. Okay, so we're at the 30-minute mark. We can still show you guys some minor new features or some other stuff. Or we can just chat about the new release and chat about stuff you'd like to see in SIP. We're completely open to everything. We're currently having something like 150 viewers total. Start going at it. Chat away. Oh God, the names, the names. I should not have started this. I should not have started this. New classic legacy SIP. Total control for M365. Guys, these names are absolutely terrible. I just saw one suggestion inside of our Discord chat that I'm not publicly going to say, but Baron, very funny. Community Partner Center. Light actually said that. Love it. Microsoft Howard should have been in the first fucking place, guys. Okay.
Tanner, no.
The names are gone. The names are done. Give you a promotion just by suggesting it as a name. Oh God. Okay, we're done. We're done. RVD in chat is asking, "Hey Kelvin, can you tell us the hair-raising story of why the release was delayed a few days?"
Oh.
This is uncomfortable, but you know what? I always say I value transparency, so I should put my money where my mouth is. Remember those stories where everyone tells you not to plug a charger that has exposed wires into any device? Yeah. Yeah. I was sitting on my couch, had a USB-C charger, and you guys know that little spot on USB-C chargers. Let me grab a random cable. This little spot that always starts breaking over time, especially when the charger's a little bit older, right? Well, that was completely broken over time. And then
How long was it broken for?
a couple of months. And I was still using it. I was plugging it into everything. So about a week ago, plugged it into my iPhone. And I heard the little lightning thing. It annoyed me. But I was like, nothing's happening because I still saw that my phone was charging. It was all okay. Until a couple of days later, where I plugged my phone in and I noticed, it's not charging. And I'm thinking, software issue. My phone's just draining faster than it's charging. Might be the charger or something like that.
Turn
and
it off,
ignored
back
it.
on.
Turn it off, turn it back on. Ignored it. I always charge my phone wirelessly anyway. It's on my nightstand, so didn't care. Then last Friday, or was it Thursday? I think it was Thursday. I don't remember. Last Thursday or maybe something like last
Yeah, it was Thursday night.
Thursday night. I'm sitting. I'm working, typing on my laptop, and I'm like, oh damn, almost empty. So I grab my beautiful Surface and I plug it in, and then laptop turned off. But not just like turned off, like went blank, like nothing turned on anymore. I was like, what the hell just happened? And like I said, I was being an idiot. We always tell people as IT people, don't plug in chargers that are broken. My laptop got zapped. Everything was off. Like I opened it up, removed the battery, didn't turn on anymore. Actually, I had to report it for warranty. I ordered a new laptop. It got in on Monday, transferred the SSD, and thank God the SSD wasn't zapped. Because, fun fact about Surface Laptop 7s, the SSD is also the breaker for the battery. The instructions online when you open a Surface is, please remove the SSD to break the connection to the battery. So I was like, fuck, this is going to mean it's zapped. But I was lucky. Oh, damn it, I'm cursing on YouTube. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, guys. So yeah, my Surface laptop was completely broken thanks to a charger. A frayed cable that we always tell everyone not to use. That was story time. Thanks, RVD, for bringing that back up and making me experience those emotions again. I appreciate it. I love you, man. Okay, Andrew suggested a feature, expanded scheduler insight and control and alerting, specifically around the scheduler. Andrew, if you could type a little bit more about what you want, and I'll tell you. Mr. Pucka said, when creating a new user, have the ability to select a SharePoint site or Teams they should have access to and automatically add a shortcut to OneDrive. You can already do that if you do it group-based. Check that out. CIPP is like CIPP. It is. I need Subaru for my USB cable. I'm not sure what Subaru is, Mr. Pucka. Can we have a disabled direct send standard? Microsoft allowing PowerShell disablement as of April 2025. We've seen it send quite a few fishes recently. Yeah, that's a cool standard. Love it. Adding it to the roadmap right this minute. Awesome idea. Thank you. Subaru is fantastic. Okay, so I have to do it. The Surface died of Ligma. Gary, could you tell me what Ligma is?
Why are you entertaining this?
Because, I mean, it's Gary. It's Gary.
He's just trolling you.
Any updates on the ISO doc certification? Uwu. That Uwu makes it so much worse. If you want an update on the ISO certification, email ashley@cyberdrain.com. Thanks, Gary. Thanks.
It's like, I don't know what I expected.
Oh, I was just told that I left out a little piece of information about my adventure with my laptop. I had weeks, not days, weeks of uncommitted work on the device itself. I am not embarrassed to admit that I didn't follow my own procedures. There you go. There you go. I did not have backups. I did not have it in my OneDrive. I did not commit my work to the GitHub repo as I should have. It was absolutely terrible and slightly horrifying. Weeks of work would have been lost. Yeah.
You also didn't put it on your virtual machine that lives in Azure.
John? I know. I love you. I answered this already, ashley@cyberdrain.com. When will reporting against CIS standards be able to produce a client-facing report PDF? We're working on client-facing reporting, not directly based on CIS standards, but if your standard applies to CIS standards, is it CIS or CSS? CIS? Because I always like combine the two in the same sentence. It's weird. Anyway, the Center for Internet Security Standards, you can create a standard yourself that applies that, and then print the tenant report, which is an option to look at it with the client. Can we please get some video-based tutorials for CIPP, maybe on empath? We have more and more video content coming out. I think Ashley is also working with empath on something. I can't tell you exactly what that is yet, but yeah. There used to be a standard that automatically ran enable organization customization. That standard is in the unified audit log. Follow me? Make sure you enable unified audit log. It automatically runs enable organization customization. Is there a way to clean up legacy GDAP relations? We have some tendencies collecting them like Pokemon. Going manually through them is time consuming. Use the offboarding wizard. The tenant offboarding wizard is a help there because it's able to remove GDAP relationships that are legacy. Johan is asking, sorry for posting multiple times. Do not worry about that during these events because I might lose stuff and we have a producer monitoring all the questions, but you guys are asking a lot of questions. So don't worry about reposting stuff. If all tenant enables the settings, a single standard settings will disable that setting again, or at least not enable it. if you have a all tenant standard that sets authenticator to disabled, and then you create a specific tenant standard that sets it to enabled, the end state is that it will be enabled. Vice versa, disabled, enabled, exactly the same. The lowest standard will apply. CIS, yeah. So I balance that every time. Since you have a warranty product underway, when will Cyberdrink create a workstation backup product to prevent against data loss when MSPs?
Oh, that seems
Jack,
oddly pointed.
Jack, these sessions are supposed to be fun. I love you, man. I will see you in 2 weeks. I will beat the shit out of you for this. I mean, shake your hand for this. The problem with video content is that it's almost always out of date within 2 weeks of release. We release a lot. I love how far you got without noticing where it was going. Does the standard hierarchy go all tenant groups tenants or all tenants groups / tenants? All tenants groups tenants. I double checked that recently. And then under tenants, there's still one more level of hierarchy, which is most recently created.
Or edited.
Or edited, exactly, yes. So we're going to keep making jokes about this. Thanks, David. Thanks. People are talking about the amazing drinks we made during MSP Con. For example, the Malort Wine Rita. Wonderful drink. One
I
of
thought
our
it was
friends,
a martini.
or it was a martini. The Malort Winetina. Yes. Oh crap! Our producer added all the banners for me. Just noticed.
All you have to
Thank
do is
you.
click them.
Yeah. When will it be possible to create your own quarantine tags via standards? V8. One of our new contributors. I forgot his name, which is really terrible. But one of our new contributors created a complete management of quarantines and quarantine tags, custom stuff, all of this. It's really cool. And I feel a little bit embarrassed that I forgot his name. I think he was even like from the Nordics somewhere. I want to say Denmark.
I'll find him.
Cool. Philip, thank you. Philip, that was it. Fit, when onboarding devices for Autopilot and CIPP, how can I do this without a PKD, just using the SN model name and manufacturer name? Dell and AP often like to change their names with period, and yeah, so there's a lot of issues with this. Let's take Dell as an example because we deliver Dell. Did you know that there's Dell Inc., Dell period, Dell Inc. period, Dell EU, Dell USA, Dell Workstation Management, Dell Precision, like in the name, as in the company name, Dell Precision. It's really annoying. The only advice I have for you is to look at the box. The name printed on the box is the name you need to use.
I feel like Microsoft should standardize what vendors are allowed to use for the manufacturer name in Autopilot.
The biggest issue is that all these vendors are separate companies and they have separate agreements with Microsoft. Dell EU has a different agreement with Microsoft than Dell Inc. And so all of these Autopilot devices actually report differently to Microsoft. It's the complexity of large companies. Happy Earth Day is hey, happy Earth Day. Good to see you, buddy. What's the best way to get a report on all tenants that are using basic auth without connectors in preparation for later this year? I think we have a basic auth report somewhere. We have a lot of functionality. I can link it to you later. Tanner says, it's been a while, so I'll resuggest standard for mailbox forwarding and OOO responses for common accounts. Tanner, explain that a little bit more. I understand, I think, but I need a little bit more info. There are comments flying in everywhere. John, did you say Microsoft?
I don't know, maybe. Slip
Oh,
of the
Philip
tongue.
is here. Philip, thank you so much for your contributions. Loved them. Absolutely adored them. If you're in the CIPP Discord, please tag me for a second so I can give you the CIPP contributor role. You've done a fantastic job. I think the last PR might have been a little bit AI influenced, but it was really well done. So thank you for that. Is it possible to add an option to exclude the standard based on a group? In the UI, you can only exclude if you select all tenants. Slow me, you must have missed the start of this section. Hey, John, I'm going to pull up your screen for a second.
Okay, I had to go back to it then. Needs a second. Where'd my tenants go?
And I'm looking at the chat in Discord as well, Philip. The AI comment wasn't a negative comment. It was really good code. That's all I meant by it. Like, I didn't mean anything negative. I hope that no one saw it that way, because Discord said, like, oh, way to call out AI. I liked it. And I mean, let's be realistic. Copilot is a fantastic tool to assist in a lot of things, as long as you check out some of the limitations that it has. We use Copilot a lot. And here you go. For Shlomi, excluding a group is now possible if you selected a group. And why only with groups? Because otherwise it's going to get really messy, buddy. And Shlomi just said set is the best. Thank you. PRs are judged by their quality, not whether they are AI made. And that is the truth.
We only got like 10 minutes left. Should we show off some stuff?
Let's show off some quality of life stuff.
What do you want to show first?
I don't know.
Maybe
what do you want to show?
Applications?
Yeah.
So you guys might have noticed, but this doesn't say enterprise applications anymore. This is all applications. So it includes enterprise and app registrations. But then there's 2 additional tabs here that are interesting. This here is called permission sets. If you create a new permission set, we have the ability to build out a templated set of permissions that you can then apply to an app consent. Now we can just take one and we can import it. So we have some defaults, so you can look around. If you notice, by default, Microsoft Graph is added, and you cannot remove it because you need at least something in here. But you can just, find a permission, like, you want to give it mail send. Maybe you don't, but if you want to be able to send email without a signed in user, this is the way to go. And then you can just save these changes, and it creates a new permission set. And then you can go back and apply this to a template. Like, for instance, if you guys ever use Graph PowerShell, you can now set up your Graph PowerShell permissions ahead of time, and then you can roll them out with a template using standards or manually. And then when this decides to load, it'll actually show you what permissions are in the permission set that you're applying to this template.
Yeah. So the cool thing is that all of these templates can also be used directly in the standards. Instead of just entering a specific app ID, you can select the template that you've created.
And I actually have an example of that.
There you go, a template selected. And you can select multiple templates if you have them, allowing multiple templates to be deployed.
And you can go back to the old way if you'd like, and then put your application IDs manually, but template is much better. Allows you to have custom permissions that don't exist in your partner tenant. So as long as you've consented a vendor app, you can then push it out with whatever permissions that they want or you want.
Very cool. Very cool new features. I'm seeing lots of chatter everywhere. People keep asking, when is it released? It is today. Hey, John, could you show me the logbook?
Yeah, I was going there.
Oh, cool. So one of the biggest complaints we've had about the logbook is that it only filtered per day. And sometimes you just wanted like a week of data or a couple of days of data to go back and see exactly what happened. Or you like had that barrier like of UTC. So you did something yesterday, but it was actually today. And
It was after 7 p.m. Eastern time and it showed up on the following day.
Very annoying. So now you have a start date and end date. And Jack Richards might be very, very happy. Because I've been asking for this literally like a year. Zach, my dear friend, just said, Kelvin is a liar because today ends in 5.5 minutes. He's in Australia watching this. Thank you so much for being here, Zach. I understand the timing is awkward. And as you can see, you can now filter the logs specific on a couple of days of results. Or you can say, I only want to have a specific user or the only specific severity, which works a lot better because we're getting the data in quicker.
Also, notice up here, you can see the, what you're filtering on too. So it kind of gives you a better indicator of what's happening.
There is a small note. If you select a very large date range, it might still time out because there will be millions of logs.
And I broke it somehow.
It's still, like we said, this is all development. Release today will have these bugs resolved.
Probably because most of our logs are, well, I don't know. I broke it.
It's an issue with our logs, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, there we go. We have a lot. I tried to get like 30 days worth and it told me I had like 50,000 entries.
Can it be an option in standards to add external partner relationships? You'll have to explain that more, Shlomi. I have no clue. Are you going to version the API and separate the API front-end calls? No, we're not going to separate the API front-end calls. The API used by the front-end will always be the API in general, but we are going to implement versioning just so that we can have a V1 for people that are specifically using APIs in a specific manner. So yes, versioning. The API or the front end will always use the latest version of the API, which probably will name something like beta, like Microsoft does. Versioning. Mom, they're making fun of me. Were there any more questions on Discord?
What other things do we have to show off?
There's so much in this release. Oh yeah, JIT admin now has the ability for all tenants as well.
No, not that.
For viewing all tenants.
Viewing, yes. Not for adding though. You can't
Not for
add
adding.
it.
You can't add to all tenants. That would be a weird thing. We
What
are
happens if I
using
try to do something silly?
the question is, we are using external provider for licenses, and for each tenant, I need to add 2 relationships, one for CIPP, one for the provider. The question is whether CIPP can also do this. No, there, you can use one relationship for both, absolutely, as long as it's attached to your partnership. I suspect your provider is asking you to add a GDAP relationship on their behalf. No, sorry.
I don't know what happened to the validation text, but it doesn't let you submit it if you try to do something stupid like set the end date before the start date.
That's actually really good. Philip is asking, I see there's a feature request for improved control of authentication methods on the roadmap. Is it being worked on? Also, I would like to contribute to this. I believe that our internal development team, specifically RVD, picked this one up. Not exactly sure if it's actively being worked on, so you'll have to check with RVD. Come to Discord, talk to him directly. That's the best way. Our development team is available in Discord, so everyone can be tagged and everyone can be chatted to about stuff they're doing right now or stuff they're going to do in the future. Would CIPP want to introduce a standard that allowed the rollout of a standard set of MS contacts? Sure, Luke. That's fun. Yeah, that's a fun feature. And we're nearing the end. We're actually at the end. I have a little bit of a cold or something. I've been having a weird cough and feeling under the weather today. Let me pull us up together again. There we go. Officially, we would have 3 more minutes left because we started 3 minutes late. But I am a rebel. I am very rebellious. I am raging against the machine. So I guess we're signing off for today. If you have any more questions, if you have any more things that you're wondering about, let us know. Let us know. Talk to us in Discord. Chat to us. We're available for everyone. I hope everyone is having an amazing week. If you are at IT Nation Secure next week, please let me know. Please come hang out with me. Come hang out with a large part of the team. Ashley is speaking at IT Nation Secure on the Woman in Tech panel, I believe that's what it's called. I am giving a very long session, a 4-hour session about M365 management. It's on the main day. I would ask you to come, but that session is completely filled up. 120 people, and that's it. So, yeah, we are coming to other events as well. Right after that, we're coming to Workplace Ninja in Edinburgh. Going to hang out with some CIPP contributors there. What other things do we have? After that, we are at Flow, Bruce's conference about automation. See us there. There's so much stuff coming up. It's absolutely insane. If anyone has any more questions, hit it up on Discord. We're all available to you. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.